so that he can at least sustain that for much longer?
Yeah, so, like, he's fine, quote unquote. You could totally, like, burn a med kit and heal him some with a tech med roll.
What is your actual health at right now?
3.
Yeah, even if you said no, Margot would use it on you. Sorry.
Alright, so do you, like, strap him down? Rip his armor off and...
No. Well, he's only wearing a jacket, so I imagine
like,
just, like, moving the jacket aside and opening up the BDUs.
Sure.
And even Boomer doesn't really stop in what he's doing, but he, like, raises his arm so he has, like, a larger area to work in.
Sure.
It's like when a little kid is, like, watching TV or something, and they don't want to stop watching TV, and they're just letting whomever do whatever to them. Yeah,
cool.
That's
So roll me a tech medical roll, and the better you roll, the more health you'll get, or the more dice you'll get to roll to heal him.
Can I assist her?
You're not assisting her, though, are you?
That's a good point. Okay,
You're
never mind.
actually.
I would have said yes, but you are clearly not assisting her in this endeavor.
What's the attribute?
It's going to be intellect.
Okay. And then do I get assisted because of the medkit, or is that just...
No, so...
Doesn't she get a +2 because she's using the medkit?
Yeah, so the medkit gives you a +2, I think.
Okay, so I do put in an assisted as 2, yeah?
Yeah, so the medkit can, like, stabilize stuff, right? Like, normally. But yeah, do put in the +2 assisted, for sure. Nice. Roll 3d6, and you can heal him that much health.
So twice as much as he can possibly have.
Basically. It'd be really hard.
I rolled too well.
You'd have to roll 3 ones in order not to heal him to full health. Ah, there it is. Boom.
Well, I did roll one, so...
So, Boomer, you're restored to full health, and make sure you erase 1 med kit from your inventory.
Yeah.
It begins.
The war of attrition begins.
Yeah.
So, Boomer, you've made your pre-tech roll, and you're unable to gather anything. You have a scan of this thing, but, so here's the problem. You know what this thing looks like, but you're not sure how it works. And your scanner is unable to detect any sort of power source or any sort of circuitry that would control the actions of this creature. It seems to be literally just metal and servos and... yeah.
Okay. At that point, I'm moving over to the skeleton and doing the same.
Sure. I think that rather quickly you realize it is of the same make, just a different configuration.
Do I have the opportunity for another pre-tech roll?
So, you can, but you will not get any information that you would have gotten the first time. You can get... It'll be much harder to succeed, and you also will not get the full information from it. But you can totally make it. It's fine. It's a different creature. You'll find out different things that you wouldn't have before.
It's a matter of principle.
I understand.
Stand by.
Standing by. Gogo, what are you and Oscar talking about while we're standing by?
I'm looking at all of the doors that we have to go through, and I'm kind of looking at him and looking at all the doors, and looking at him and being like, all right, so which door?
So he's... You gotta deal with Wills.
An 8 won't get you anything here. Not anything additional besides what you know.
Yeah, I got it.
But your readings also come back roughly the same, with one distinct difference. The cat-like creature appears to be manufactured in some way. This appears to be, like, cobbled together junk scrap. Nothing really makes sense about this particular creature or armature. Like, there's metal in, like, just weird places. It's not clean. This cat-like creature is very slick and very, like, everything is in exactly where it's supposed to be. You know what I mean?
I gotcha.
But this is like if a novice literally put pieces of metal together and made a barely functioning legs, arms, head
So it's basically the difference between, hey, look, this was built pre-tech, and then Boomer built this. I got it.
I mean, Boomer even would probably... You may be offended by... This does not appear to be, like... the only reason why it's pre-tech, really, is because of the method in which it's constructed, not necessarily its component parts, if that makes sense.
Okay. At this point, I'm reloading my shotgun.
Okay, yeah, I'm assuming everybody is reloaded.
Yeah, that's happened.
So Gogo, what do you, or I'm sorry, Oscar, what do you say when Gogo's like,
if they're still having that conversation, it's like, I genuinely don't know. We don't know the layout of this place, but I think it would be best not to linger. Wherever we're going, we need to do so soon.
At that point, I'd be like, well, then this door is as good as any, and I open the door on the bottom left.
Okay.
I was just going to say, we always go left,
This
so
door
let's
right
go
here?
left.
I can't tell you for sure. It's going to take me a couple of seconds.
Oh, that's right.
But the one that the cat came through on the bottom left.
Yeah. So you open that door, and from here we can kind of progress into more like travel mode.
Yay.
Since you guys are not like in immediate danger of anything, and there's nothing immediately interesting going on. So what the conversation up to here was like, well, here's kind of what we got going on, what should we do, whatever. After this encounter, I'd like to know, like, where everybody's standing. Is everybody a little bit more on edge? Is there more like a, like, Oscar, or we've kind of determined that, like, in times of crisis, you're the type that kind of takes a leadership role. Is that occurring here? Or is it still something that Oscar is only doing when needed?
So, I mean, in the sense that when bullet point, as they're kind of walking to who knows where, he's going like down the list, like, be careful not to waste ammo. We may be here for we can't possibly know how long we're going to be down here. Mind your rations. Make sure no one gets left behind. Like, stick together, so on and so forth. So in that sense, he's like totally like mama ducking everybody, like,
Sure.
follow along. But beyond that, he has no clue where they are, so he can't really be like, here's our objective. I think right now his mindset is in like exploratory information gather mode to try and move things forward.
Sure. What about everyone else in the party?
Fortune is definitely in high alert. He hasn't holstered his pistol. He's just walking around like ready to shoot the next thing that pops around the corner.
Sure. Are you like taking point and like,
Yeah, definitely. No, I'm probably taking rear, like watching the back and then trying to look ahead and then turning around watching our back.
Sure. What about Gogo and Boomer?
Gogo would at some point ask either Oscar or Boomer, so nanites, question mark? Care to elaborate on those? Why is that bad?
So
Boomer,
Jordan, what does Boomer know about nanites? Because you actually haven't told me anything about them.
Yeah, and so for all of those involved, you can roll a pre-tech roll, and I will allow, like, based on what information you're able to give and what your character would feasibly know about nanites, what information you need.
Jordan, can I suggest a substitution?
Sure.
Based on what we talked about last time. So I don't think there's any way I can justify having pre-tech knowledge, but
Sure.
Can I roll Spacer to have, like, heard stories?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely. I'll allow that.
I think that fits way better with, like, the sort of information Oscar would actually have.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we could roll pre-tech or spacer? Is that okay?
Any skill that you think would apply to what you as a player know nanites are, that your character would reasonably understand?
Oh my god.
Yeah, so Oscar, you do know stories of nanites. But as
he knows that they're awful.
Yeah, as you've been playing the character, nanites are bad. They destroy everything, entire solar systems. They all need to be purged. They will take over your body and you'll become a zombie.
Right.
You know, so, all of the worst tales about nanites.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what he says. Like, they are a plague.
Right. Yeah, they're worse than a virus. Like, they can't be killed, they'll just replicate. Like, they are an intelligent virus. Yeah. They can't be probably, like, for you too, it's like they can't be fought with, like, psionics, right? Like, usually stuff that can take control of you and that kind of stuff can be fought with, like, high level psionics, right? They can be repelled, but this is something that's beyond the grasp of that, right? In game terms,
his
nanite
current
takeover
grasp. Yes,
right.
There's nothing he could possibly do.
Right, it would require tech save versus mental save, right? Like there's a distinct difference in the abilities there of what the things do. Boomer, a 7 kind of gets you the basic knowledge of nanites, like what they are, how they operate, but there's a lot of things that are lost, right? Like you would never be able to construct them. Especially not without pre-tech facilities, and their general capabilities are mostly unknown to you, but you know, like, what you know, like, nanites, they're self-replicating, they're known to, you know, mold substances into what they need to be molded into, like, and maybe you compare it to what's going on with the, with what those robots were doing, right? Maybe you compare it with that and you're like, oh, yeah, of course, that makes sense. Nanites, they're molding the metal into what they need, but, like, beyond that, nanites are just, ugh, like, you don't know a whole lot about them from a technical standpoint. Gogo, maybe you, like, know some of the stories, or maybe, like, your 5 is representative of Oscar explaining the stories to you, and now you have that base knowledge.
Yeah, that seems to make more sense.
That base knowledge of, oh shit, nanites are real fucking bad, we should not deal with them. But actually, I'm going to make another roll here, too, as well, because there's another member of the party that may know something about this.
Please.
May know something about this. Oh my god,
he knows everything.
Yeah. So I mean, like, so I think that, like, you're having this conversation where, like, you're
fucking nanite master Hiapo.
He actually builds them in his spare time.
Yeah. So, like, you know, you're like explaining, like, you know, that's what destroyed Earth, and, you know, blah 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 blah. You know, I've heard stories from some of the humans that live on my planet that, you know, it's what wiped out almost their entire civilization. You know, etc.
Boomer's taking notes.
Bad stuff. And Hiapo says, nanite's not all bad, brother.
Well, what do you mean?
He says that to you, Oscar, as you're, like, telling these horror stories.
Yeah, I think Oscar just turns to him and he says, well, be that as it may, the ones we're currently dealing with seem to fit my description more accurately.
I don't think so, brother. All nanites controlled by central computer. It is possible that maybe this artifact that you are here to get controls these. We have suspicions. It is pre-tech device after all, you know. Most nanites receive information. They not fully functioning AI in kind. They even fully functioning AI cannot input themselves into nanites. They just control them.
Do you have any other suspicions you would care to share with us?
It's possible this automated defense system set off when we entered the building?
And how do we shut that off?
I think, like...
And he's maybe, like, looking between Hiapo and Boomer simultaneously, like...
Yeah, and I think Hiapo's like... hard to say. Even that beyond my capabilities.
Fortune probably just, well, we should blow the place up.
This would be good option, but we also in here, brother. It would also blow us up.
Well, if it comes down to it, it might be the better option.
Oscar nods.
Yapo says, that's probably waste. But this is not my decision to make.
Yeah. I probably look over at Go-Go. I'm like, yeah, it's hers.
She's like loading
I look
a
over
rocket.
my shoulder.
She's like loading a rocket into the launcher.
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's like loading a rocket in. Like, what? Are you guys talking about me?
Like, huh? What? What are you talking about? What? What's going on?
Yeah, and I think that Hyapo then explains that, like, nanites are a construction of humans, and they don't act autonomously, and under the right care, like, they are literally one of the most remarkable, inventions that man has ever created. In fact, you probably perk up at this, Fortune, and you probably say, there's even rumors of, like, guns that could use any type of substance as ammunition, because nanites would make whatever substance was inputted into the weapon into a bullet, because they just have that replicating power and that, like, ability to form substance like that and form mass like that into ammunition. So you could use, like, any number of things. In a lot of the Mandate wars, what would happen is with these weapons, like, soldiers would run out of ammunition on the battlefield, and literally just to be able to use their magazines as ammunition, because they just put it into the chamber, and the nanites would convert it into bullets. They could use stone. They could use pretty much anything they wanted to. Any substance. So
that's stored for later knowledge.
Yeah, exactly. And, like, then he talks about, like, the other things, like, nanites were, when the airborne kind were invented, he probably mentions something along the lines of how they were able to eliminate hard labor, basically, where the nanites were able to actually grow and harvest crops, like, way more efficiently than humans or even pre-tech machines could, because they could get to places where pre-tech machines couldn't, right? Like, they could do wondrous tasks that the human hand or even advanced machinery of the day couldn't do because they were so small. Then he probably leads into, like, the whole medical capabilities of nanites. Like, they could go in and repair tissue and even hold it together in some instances far more superiorly than anything else. And, like, maybe that's Oscar where you get, like, the whole, oh, it's controlling me, but, like, he talks about it in a good way. Like, they were able to heal basically any injury that anyone could sustain as long as the nanites were able to, they could eat away at the the disease and the in fact, even some of, like, the molecular sized nanites could actually go in and specifically target, similar to the way, like, white blood cells do, like, specifically target viruses and diseases inside of the human body and could eliminate them.
Oscar is concerned that Hyapo has already been indoctrinated.
Right, yeah, no. He's talking about it with some reverence, for sure.
He's listening, but he's like, sure.
The sword comes slightly out of the scabbard.
Yeah.
And what's Boomer doing during all this?
He's listening and taking notes. And then when Hyapo is pretty much finished with his explanation, Boomer's going to take him aside and go over all the scans that he made of the previous machines, seeing if he can give him any insight into pre-tech.
Yeah, so I think that his knowledge of, since that pre-tech roll was a 13, so he pretty much knows all there is to know for a person of his stature about nanites, he would definitely say that he's like, yeah, these look very similar to the nanite constructs that may be created because they are able to, this is exactly what they are. The cool capability is you don't need to waste, like, circuitry and like, power cores and anything like that if you use nanite armatures. Because if you use nanite armatures, you can save resources. Basically, it's just metal, right? Basically, it's just whatever substance the thing is created out of is all you need. You don't need to waste manufacture time on, all the ridiculous, cables and power couplings and none of that stuff, because the nanites just provide their own power. and the power for the armature itself. So he tells you that about like the cat ones, but I think he mentions about the other ones that those appear to be of a similar like style, like that's what they're designed to be, but it's very crude, very unorthodox, not as refined as what it should be, if that's truly what's going on.
Right, and I just kind of share everything I found with the group at this point while still listening and studying, and I actually also draw the conclusion, well, then does this mean that even though we killed those things back there, if they get re-inhabited by nanites, are they going to come back after us?
Yeah, and I think that he says it's possible, but based on the amount of damage that was done to them, it would take some time for the nanites to reconstruct them. And he also said, like, materials are still an issue, right? Like, they still have to find materials. So the cats are clearly made out of a material that you haven't seen. It's like this, it's black plasteel, basically. And they're definitely made out of material that you haven't seen anywhere else inside the facility. So arguably there's probably a limited resource there. But the Shambler dudes, they're made out of literally like the scrap panels on the walls and stuff. So those would be much easier to replicate and re-inhabit than the cat-like creatures would be.
Cool.
So
have we found anything else yet?
Yeah, Oscar, are you taking point, right?
Yeah, I mean, I assume that this is all happening kind of
it's as you're like traveling through
while they're exploring,
right? And so you're on explore mode, and you've gone through probably like one or two more barracks where like maybe you get like a little bit slower, and you look underneath the metal sheets very carefully, and you lift them up with your sword or with your psionics, like just to peek under them. You haven't found anything else significant. But I think that
is everything that we've passed basically the same kind of layout.
Same kind
like
of
it all
dreary,
seems kind of storage room.
Yeah, very dreary,
kinda.
very rundown. Okay. The lights are still flickering and it's still very dim. But you do at one point arrive at a location where, as you kind of like look, you can see there's like a long, like thin glass or plexiglass window that's been shattered out. And you can see inside as you walk by. It's different from like all the other places that you've been at. All the rest of them have been like doors with like a peephole and whatever, and you've had to like kind of wrench them open at times to get in there. But this one, as you gaze in through this like window, you can see that it is I'm going to call it a clinic, but it looks like a workshop clinic of some sort. And I'll show you exactly what it looks like.
Everyone except Fortune.
Are you still on that screen or whatever?
Oh, it's just a gray screen.
Well, okay. I don't know what's wrong with your Roll20. You should fix that. This is kind of what it looks like.
Show you a picture. I'll send you a picture of what I'm looking at now.
Yeah, so it looks kind of like a mix between like a workshop, perhaps a medical facility, perhaps like a cafeteria of some sort. Like, it's kind of weird as you gaze into it. But the lights are all like completely on, and it's much more brightly lit than the rest of the facility that you've been going through currently. And the door is actually like blasted off of its hinges, like along the opposite wall of where it is.
So something left this room in a hurry.
Sure.
Is that it looks like the door has been blown out from the inside?
Yes, from the inside. Yep. You can detect that there is a lot of carbon scoring on the interior of the door.
Oscar, can I go in and take a look?
Very, very old carbon scoring, right? Like ancient. Like it's just black.
He says to Boomer, absolutely, just stay out of grasping range. Perhaps there are medical supplies. We should certainly keep this location in mind.
Jordan, I'm going to step in. Do any of the computers seem like they're operational?
Yeah, there appears to be a terminal that is like flickering.
Okay, I'm going to begin operating it, seeing what can be accessed, what can't be
Cool.
accessed.
So I know you see a keyboard there, but it's not a keyboard. It's that same like orb thing that you've seen in other locations.
Okay, just putting my hand on it then.
Sure. So you place your hand on it, and again, that kind of elderly man figure, wearing like those kind of robes with like the shoulder pads or whatever, he appears and he says, "Welcome."
Greetings. We found a lab of some kind. We're trying to access any records. Are any available on the mainframe?
Stand by. I have found 3 medical records.
Can you display them to my device?
Please enter the authorization code.
Okay. Can you display them on your own device?
Please enter the authorization code to view files.
All right. Is it asking for like a verbal?
Something.
Or...
It would require a very high security roll to hack it, but perhaps if you explore more, maybe you'll find other things that would help you out in this situation.
Yeah, he's going to continue to explore the room.
Okay, so yeah, your hand releases off of it. What are the rest of you doing? Oscar, I assume you're taking watch outside?
Yeah, he probably gave the room a once-over and then went back out to the door.
Sure. What about the other 2 of you, Go-Go and Fortune?
I would like to check the room to see if there's anything useful.
Okay, cool.
I would have followed after Boomer and then started like rifling through stuff to see if I can find some sort of thing that looks like a key card or code or something.
Sure.
After hearing him interact.
All right, so the 3 of you in the room, make me perception checks based on intelligence, not wisdom. It's based on intelligence. This is how well you're searching through things. Devin did okay. Go-Go did not do as well.
For some reason, it kept clicking persuade. I'm not sure why.
I think I might reroll question mark.
Man, you guys have had so many rerolls that you could have used, by the way.
I know, because it's almost the end of the hour anyway.
It is.
We're getting up on in like a couple of minutes, so I think we're just
It
going
is. Yeah, why not?
You know what? I'm going to use my reroll too.
Go for it. Experts doing work.
Oh my god, I hate everything.
Yo, I'm just beginning to think this game hates you guys. There we go, Will. All right.
Oh god, Jesus.
So Go-Go, you find a you probably open up a drawer and there's a bunch of syringes in it with like a couple of glass vials. There's 3 glass vials in it and like maybe 5 empty syringes. And that's the equivalent of what you find. You can discover those later. Devin, I think as you're kind of like, going through the cabinets and stuff, you probably find I think that you find a I'm gonna say you find the equivalent of like 2 more rations in like the cabinets and stuff. As you're like rifling through them, you find like these meals, and they're clearly like they're mandate like issued rations, but rations haven't changed that much. It's basically an MRE, right? Same as what you're like carrying now.
Maybe it's just a different menu for your MRE.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So you find two equivalent rations, but Boomer, as you're kind of like going through, you find like a desk that has like a locked kind of cabinet, and you like you pull on it and you feel it's locked, and you pull on it again, it just kind of breaks. It seems to have deteriorated with age, and inside you find what looks like an old dusty console of some sort. It's about the size of maybe like a Game Boy Advance, if you know how big that is. It's about how big it is.
All right.
And you find a couple of key cards on like a little ring inside of there.
Okay. Pocketing the key cards and then turning on like the Game Boy Advanced.
You hold the button to the side and it comes on, because that's how it works. If you guys get that reference, it's a good one.
How else wouldn't it work?
Exactly. Yeah, and so you see it like powers up and like flickers, and like a couple of the bars in the display are like burnt out in the holo display, but it creates like an image, but like a couple of the bars are missing, so it's kind of hard to see. You can see that it is a video log of clearly someone who is a doctor. It's all very staticky. It's all very kind of like kind of messed up. There's no dogs barking in the background though. And yeah, vlog hype, exactly. And you can see like there's a doctor who like he like you can see him with like a little remote, and he kind of like pushes it, and you see the camera like adjust the holo screen, and you can see somebody is like laying on this table you guys see here, and he begins to go through a process which you recognize as an autopsy, and upon further inspection you can see that the thing on the table is not human. It appears to be, I mean, for lack of a better term, it appears to be like a large humanoid lizard.
Okay, and honestly, my first concern is it Skriak?
No, it is not a Shriak.
Okay.
Close, though.
Boomer continues to watch it and kind of taking in as much detail as he can in the degraded fashion.
Yeah, and I think that as you begin watching this, I think Hiapo, like, kind of bustles over to you fairly quickly and is like, he's like, his eyes are wide and he's doing the same, right? He's taking very studious notes. The audio is kind of crackly, it's kind of hard to understand. And it goes through like 2 or 3 of these autopsies. And occasionally there's like different shapes of things on the table. But at one point it gets to it's clearly this doctor who we know as Dr. Archibald. That's all the name he ever gives you. And he Dr. Archibald is speaking like directly, like an actual like personal log, and he says, he's like, it's day 55. We've not received word yet. Shipment is about a week late. I fear that perhaps it has been waylaid by those damn space pirates. But no matter. The mandate will send us another ship, I'm sure of it. We have enough stores to last for perhaps a month or so. Everything should be fine. Worst case scenario, we can begin hunting as the natives of this planet do, although their activity has been strange as of late. It seems that they have been reduced in number, probably due to the constant warring that they've been having on the surface as of late. And he kind of like, somebody like walks into the room clearly and is like speaking, but it's crackly, you can't understand it. And you see him like, he turns his head and he nods, and he says, you see him like push the button to turn it off. And then there are 2 more log entries, and I assume you go to the next one, yeah?
Yes.
Cool. So you click on the next one. It's him again. He's like sitting in a chair, kind of leaning on an arm, and he like runs his hand through his hair, and he kind of scratches the back of his head. He's like, day 70. Still have not received a shipment. Shouldn't be any problem though. I'm sure the mandate will be sending one shortly. Although we must think about perhaps seeing if we can reach out to a ship soon. I'm sure there's some passing by somewhere. I'm beginning to be concerned about the crew. They seem to become restless. I've had multiple requests for medications. Nothing out of the ordinary, except for just perhaps more in quantity. I guess we'll see where it goes. Then you see him click the video log off.
Are there any more? Or was that the last one?
There's a single one left.
Okay, play the last one.
Okay, so you click on the last one, and you can see that he's got like, he turned the video log on, but his head is down, and his hands are like kind of covering his face a little bit, and you can see he's rubbing like his temples. And he says, in my estimation, we've got about a week of supplies left. I think the Mandate has abandoned us. I wouldn't say as much out loud to the rest of the crew, but it appears Gerald is getting antsy. He wants to make an excursion to the surface. I told him it's too dangerous. The natives are more aggravated than normal. I think that it's possible they may know something is amiss. We've taken a few of their members, hoping we could find a way to perhaps use them as sustenance, at least for a time. But I can't say that an excursion wouldn't be perhaps the best plan, but I still have faith in the Mandate. They'll come for us. And you can see behind him there is a object on the autopsy table. And you can see that that he is like, he's, not paying attention, and you see underneath the sheet, because it's like underneath the sheet, you see it begin to like rise and fall. Its chest rise and fall as if it's breathing. And Boomer, it's kind of hard to make out in the hollow vid, but you can see there's kind of like this dust that exudes from the sheet as the creature thing rises. And you can see that it is a lizardman, and its left arm, which is what you can see, has been removed and replaced with a clear like cybernetic. And you can see that the cybernetic arm, it kind of like looks at it, and it kind of like curls its fingers. And Dr. Archibald says, perhaps I'll write one more log before we begin our excursion. Until then, signing off. And he clicks it off just as you see like the creature begin to like get down from the table. And that's the end of the video logs. And that's a great place to take a 10-minute break, guys.
Frigging Nick.
Okay.
Nah.
So, we'll take a quick 10-minute break. Be back at 7:12 Eastern Standard.
Sure.
Alright.
Yeah. Okay.